Okay. It's exactly 7 o'clock. Okay. Can we do a roll call?
Member Ajwang?
Present.
Member Fain?
Present.
Member Lindsay?
Present.
Member Martinez-Moore?
Present.
Member Oji?
Present.
Chair Tranquil.
Here. Okay. Okay, now I'll read the land acknowledgement. The City of Albany recognizes that we occupy the land originally protected by the Confederated Villages of Lijon. We acknowledge the genocide that took place on these lands and must make strides to repay the moral debt that is owed to this indigenous people, specifically the Ohlone tribe. We thank them for their contributions which has transformed our community and will continue to bring forth growth and unity. The City of Albany commits to sustaining ongoing relationships with the tribe and together build a better future for all that now make this their home. Do I read the commission purpose?
Oh, no.
Okay. Now, on to item 2, which is approval of minutes.
I had a question on that. It didn't say in the minutes, I don't know if it needs to say in the minutes, but who is going to be on the working with the city on the housing element? Who?
I don't think you guys arrived at a,
I don't think we did.
Well, no, what happened is that the person that was here, the staffer that was here, whose name I forget because I forget everybody's name, but asked who would be willing to do it, and a couple of people said they would. And I just didn't, it wasn't in the minutes, and I
Provide an update. Okay, so she sent out an email today saying that that's not going to be happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. So approval of minutes.
I'll move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Member Ajwang?
Yes.
Member Fain?
Yes.
Member Lindsay?
Yes.
Member Martinez-Moore?
Yes.
Member Oji?
Yes.
Chair Tranquil.
Yes. Okay. Now, is there any public comment?
None online.
Okay. Any announcements?
I've got a brief announcement. Member Rios resigned back mid-February, and soon after was appointed Kobe Martinez-Moore, new member. Kobe, if you'd like to introduce yourself maybe to the other members.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kobe Martinez-Moore, or you can just call me Kobe Moore. It's a delight to be here. I was originally on the Arts Committee before this, and then this was just a smoother transition over into the day-to-day of what I do. So I'm happy to be here and happy to meet all of you.
Thank you. Okay. Now, presentations. No presentations. Okay. Now it's item 6, which is discussion and possible action on matters related to the following items. So item 6.1, the sugar sweetened beverage tax.
So, sugar sweetened beverage tax recommendation item, or to save you all time, it's just SSB if you like. In November of 2016, Measure 01, Ordinance number 2016-02, was approved by voters enacting a general tax on sugar-sweetened beverages sold in the city of Albany. Per the wording of that ordinance, City Council holds an annual special study session for the purpose of receiving SSB tax proceed expenditure recommendations from a number of the from a number of City of Albany advisory bodies, which includes the RISE Commission, a representative from the AUSD, and individuals with expertise related to public health and programs relating to diabetes, obesity, and sugary drink consumption. For this item, the RISE Commission shall prepare a recommendation to the City Council for the use of the SSB tax proceeds. Per Ordinance number 2016-02, the SSB tax is a general fund revenue that the City Council aims to apply towards purposes relating to health and well-being. And with that, I hand it over to you lot.
Can I give a little more background? So there's a movement, Berkeley did it first before we did, I believe, if I remember correctly. But there's a movement around the country to tax sugar-sweetened beverages because they basically poison, especially for young folk. That's the measure that he's talking about. And then on how to spend it, in the measure, it said that the city council must consult with several commissions, four different commissions, I think, and some other folk, and then eventually they make a decision. The council makes the final decision. So every year, it used to be the SEJC, but now it's the RISE Commission, makes recommendations to the city. The city council can, these are non-binding recommendations. So 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, or something like that, what the SEJC recommended was direct payments to people to keep them in their houses. That went nowhere fast with the council, and you can see, what they recommended if you saw it in the agenda packet, what they did. And this is pretty much what the council has done every year, something close to what you see here. When people were asked to vote on this, it was sort of promised to them that this money would be used for things like nutrition and health and things like that. And so I think that's mainly why the council was not interested in something that was kind of far afield from that. They really want stuff. So I think we'll have more likelihood of them paying attention to our suggestions if they're in the area of nutrition and health, right? And where that intersects with our work.
So it looks like this is what they did last year, right? So we can choose, can we choose to recommend doing it again?
So it's, sorry.
Is it possible to put up the
expenditure plan? Yeah. To answer your question, Chair Trinkle, it's anywhere from recommending that the existing programs be funded again to recommending new programs. So.
Also, in consideration of maybe putting forward what they recommended last time, also considering the proposal that was sent forward by the Giltrap Farm as well.
Yeah. Can we take public comment?
So just when you're ready, there are several people here who wanted to speak to the Giltrap Farm proposal, and Effie Rawlings, the author, isn't quite here yet, but we can, whenever you're ready, though. You take your time.
Okay.
You can do it at the beginning, you can do it at the end.
Yeah.
I have a question. So this money is supposed to go toward health and what else?
Health and nutrition, it's not in the ordinance exactly, but it was kind of promised to people in the campaign.
Okay, and then I guess what is the influence of our commission or committee?
It was to have an equity perspective on how the money's spent.
Okay, because I read the Giltrap proposal, which is really well written and really good. Just didn't really see the diversity piece in it. So just wondering how that can be added or do something else. Like if you're thinking health and offering subsidies or something for kids for sports or something like that, activities, because that still helps with their health or something like that. But kids that can't afford it, because usually those are the diverse ones, particularly here.
I have a question. If I can pose it to the folks from the Guild Tract. In terms of the programs you provide, I'm not sure if this is still functioning, but I have previously heard that there are subsidies given to Black and Indigenous folks for the preschool that you have on. Is it a preschool? I apologize if I'm using the wrong terminology. I kind of just heard this through the grapevine. So if you could elaborate, like that could also be part of what we talk about as it relates to this.
So
Yeah.
we have to save it for public comment. There can't
Okay.
be back and forth between public and members.
Okay. Okay.
Will you take the public comment now? So,
Okay.
okay. Well, I think this program, the Healthy Me Music and Movement Program, kind of has to do with like what we're doing, I guess. Because, wait, no, I pointed the wrong one. Well, I'm confused.
Well, the diversity part of the Healthy Me Music and Movement Program, I did notice that it was in English and Spanish.
Oh, there, yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that too.
So that was pretty nice. And also they have the Albany Preschool and the Kids Speaking Spanish Preschool there. So that's a positive step forward. But other than that, that's the only thing that's clearly diversity related.
Yeah. Well, in the Albany Swims program, well, I'm not sure, because if that's for like, wait, do people pay for that?
You get free sessions to go
Oh.
swim.
So I think that would be close, like similar to what we're doing with like diversity and like equity.
Yes, equity, yes. It's for anyone that, I can't say anyone. Basically, I believe if you get free lunch or something at the school, you're able to sign up for it, and there are like a limited number of spots. But it's like a loophole because the school gets money for every kid who signs up for free lunch. So they encourage everybody to sign up for it, even if financially you don't need it.
Oh. Also says for children that are most at risk for drowning. So,
Which they wouldn't know.
yeah.
My take on the Albany Swims thing,
It's cool.
yeah, but it didn't seem like it was particularly diverse unless I was missing something. It's not, if a family is struggling, they're not too worried about whether or not their kid is doing swimming lessons usually.
Right.
And they're not taking their kids to swimming lessons. That's sort of like an extra when a family is in a stronger position in terms of work and money and stuff like that. So, if there's a swimming person out there that's going to hate my guts forever, so be it. But that was the one that sort of caught my eye as being probably, it seemed to me, not knowing details, probably has the least diversity would be my guess, but I could be wrong. I don't know if anybody knows differently.
I would argue differently. Most families who cannot afford private swim lessons or to teach their kids swimming, this would help them a lot greatly at those kids who are at risk, particularly younger kids who are fascinated by the ocean that we do live by. So I can see how this swimming lessons would help somewhat curtail that bad experience that swimming in, say, the ocean could have. So being able to teach these kids to swim at these ages that are listed, the grades that are listed, specifically for the people who can afford private swim lessons, it would help them in that way. So I would argue that it's beneficial for those lower income families to have the ability to put their kids in swim, so that way that danger is never there if they choose to go to the beach or one of the beaches that surround us in the surrounding area.
Yeah, I agree.
It is helpful, but to your point, if I have to work I need to eat and clothe myself. I'm not going swimming.
Yeah.
But for those that can figure out how to get there, then that is helpful.
Yeah. Also, like for the crossing guard program,
That's
I mean,
cool.
yeah, I think we should recommend like keeping it because it's kind of important for safety.
Why is it $200,000 though?
I don't know.
It's just that people cost money, and, you know, crossing guards is almost all staff, right?
Right.
That's why, you know, from my time in education, that's why there's so much money spent on education, because people just, you know, you got to pay people. So I'm sure that probably 80, I would just guess 80% of that, maybe 90% is going to wages of the crossing guards, and maybe 10 or 20% is overhead. I don't know if that's true, that's my guess. The problem that I have with the crossing guard program is, again, I mean, it's great that the city is funding it, but it seems a little peculiar that it's being funded. You know, what is drinking sugary drinks have to do with crossing the street? I just don't get that. But I'm not recommending defunding it or anything.
I like it. We walk to school or we bike to school, and definitely you have to do this to make sure the cars stop. So it's helpful. And on a color point, at least three or four of the crossing guards are Black. So just as a Black American walking my daughter to school, it's kind of nice to see somebody that looks like her on her way to school, because there are not a lot of people who look like her at school. So I like it. She likes it. We're friends.
And do you know if the crossing guards are placed at equitable corners? Are they considering that? Like there's Western Albany has somewhat less money west of San Pablo. It's not a huge thing, but and there's a no signal corner at, what is that, Portland and San Pablo, and another one at I guess Portland and San Pablo is the main one I'm thinking of, and another one up the street some by it's either Brighton or it's no, Brighton has one, but maybe it's Garfield that doesn't have a light, and so kids, and then there's only one school that's on the western side, right? So anybody who lives on the west of San Pablo and goes to school east of San Pablo, it would be good to have crossing guards if we're funding it, at least those two that I can think of. And I know a girl was killed on San Pablo, might have been 20 years ago, because I'm old, but I still remember that. She was trying to cross the street and she just got killed. That can be a pretty dangerous street. Does anybody know if they have crossing guards there? I don't know the answer to that.
I've never seen the crossing guards there. I know there's a crossing guard that's usually, I think it's the intersection of San Pablo and Buchanan. Is that the street name?
Yeah, there's one right there.
And then there's one that's usually at the swim center. So that's
There's only two?
Pomona.
No,
Is it?
Buchanan and Jackson. Buchanan or Marin and San Pablo. Jackson and Solano. And then over by Cornell on Solano and whatever the main street is to the entrance of the school. Those are the ones that I'm aware of. And then there's another one like on, Buchanan turns into Marin. There's another one in the middle of the block because it's a busy street for kids to go through. So those are the ones that I'm aware. I've seen people when I drive by.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, so we know we want to recommend to continue the program, right? Yeah.
I just don't know if we want to, do you know how much money is available this year? I mean, last year it was $282,000 about.
Estimate is 260,000.
Oh, it's less.
What's the estimate?
Huh. That's interesting, the way inflation's been. I thought it would be substantially more.
Okay. Well, so if we recommend the crossing guard program, that takes like most of it. So then we have like 50,000 left.
For everything else.
Right. Well, well, for our commission, I don't think we need to recommend the Move and Groove event since, well, I don't know. Does anyone else have any opinions?
Is that the summer thing that they do? I don't know what that is.
One-day event to promote outdoor exercise. It's a one-day thing.
At Memorial Park? Or
Yeah.
that thing? Can other commissions approve it if they want to?
No,
Or
it's
is it just
not.
us?
Every commission says how they want to spend the 260,000.
Okay.
And that all goes to the city council, and they look at the 4 commissions plus other people that advise them, and then they make the decision.
Just to clarify real quick, it's Rise Commission, Transportation Commission, and Parks, Recreation, Open Space.
There's not 4?
I know. And then also a representative from AUSD, and then experts on subject matter.
So I think we could leave that one off only because those other committees seem like they're going to approve it and there's more of them. I don't know. I think we could think about something else personally because those committees, transportation, Parks and Rec, if I were on those committees, I'd say yes.
Okay.
I'm just on this one, so
Yeah.
unsure.
Take public comment.
So,
Okay.
I was
We'll
just
take
gonna-
public comment now.
Well, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to suggest that we're ready when you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I see the timer somewhere so I know I'm not talking too long? Okay. Hi, Commissioners. I'm Effie. I'm one of the authors on the proposal that we sent to you from the Gill Tract, which I'm so proud of because it's a collaboration between students and teachers and farmers to bring more field trips to the Gill Tract. And I wasn't here for the first part, but I got filled in by one of the teachers that you're asking yourselves, what does this have to do with diversity? And so I'll share my thoughts on that, and I am excited to hear from the others too. We know that people who are from marginalized communities are impacted adversely more from income disparity, food access disparity, land access disparities, that people have been impacted by historical traumas in the way that they're able to connect with land and their own labor. And at the farm, we try to provide space for people to heal and to connect with each other and people who have shared those historical impacts, and to be able to just meet some of their daily needs, be able to meet, to get fresh organic produce to take home. The food that we give away happens every week on Sundays. People are able to take what they need and leave what they can, and that's okay if they can't donate anything. And as I said, a lot of people who are from marginalized communities don't have land. They don't have, maybe they have just a windowsill where they can have a little pot. But to be able to come into an open space like the Gill Tract and feel that they can be there, they can be a part of deciding what to plant there, that they can work with their neighbors on figuring that out, is something that you don't see a lot. Other places you kind of parcel things out, individual plots, but at the Gill Tract we farm in common. And we do that on purpose. It is much more complicated than having everyone just have individual plots, but we believe that people need to learn these incredible skills of working together and working through conflicts. So those are all opportunities, again, that the more impacted you are, by oppression, the less opportunity you have to access those opportunities. I'm also really proud to mention, and I'm sure other people have more to say on this, is that we work with Segurite Land Trust, and they speak for themselves, the fact that they exist, and are providing us leadership and guidance at every step in what we do at the farm. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Do I have 3 minutes? Okay. Hi, my name is Stacy Ueda. I'm a middle school teacher, English and history at Albany Middle School. I'm also an Albany parent of 2 and an Albany resident. And I'm here because I really believe that this is a lost opportunity that we need to revive us. We need to have a connection between AUSD and Gill Tract Community Farm. I think that the teachers at the school have been, at the middle school have been surveyed, and almost half of them have already responded that what they really want to focus on, if they're able to make a sustainable, regular, yearly field trip, is they want all of the students to learn more about the Lishan Ohlone, and to really help the students learn how to respect the land, to give back to the land, and to understand the local history, and to be a part of it. So I'm very, very confident that through the leadership and the collaboration and the collaborative atmosphere at Gill Tract Farm, the students and the teachers will have a lot of opportunities to center Indigenous history. And I think it's sorely needed. We're very, very excited about this, and I hope that we can get your support in trying to put through this grant for sustainable field trips between all of the elementary, middle school, and high school students in Albany and Gill Tract Farm. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Emily Anand, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at Marin Elementary. I'm a resident of Albany, and I'm also a volunteer farmer with the Gill Tract Farm. I wanted to speak about how the farm supported me when I was a new immigrant to the US in 2021. Because of my visa restrictions, I was not able to work yet, and I was really worried about social isolation, and the farm gave me an opportunity to find community and purpose in that time. And it's also already supported my students. So I took a field trip there with my 5th graders in the fall, and I was able to see the children grow in their understanding of food systems and the land, and also practice their stewardship and community skills. So I wanted to give you some examples. One student has continued attending the farm every Sunday with her family now, so that they can get access to healthy groceries. One student grabbed a sprig of mint leaves and said to me, I want this for my snack for my way back to school. And another brought a leaf with them and chose on their own to use it in their art project that we were already working on. And so some quotes from them about how it fits well with the sugar-sweetened beverage tax. One student said, "It was fun to explore with friends while eating really healthy, yummy food." And another student said, "It opened my mind about eating different kinds of foods." So I think in the future this proposal could benefit us, because all the classroom teachers I've spoken to at Marin said that they would be interested in running a field trip, but the majority of them haven't done so yet. And I think having that more explicit curriculum-aligned field trip would make it a more attractive offering, and it would also raise the profile of it as a field trip that they could take. And I think that the ripple effects of the field trip, like that student who brings her family now on Sundays so that they can get those groceries, would be amplified if they go over multiple years from elementary, middle, and high school, because they'll have a more solid relationship with the farm, and they'll understand it better as a community resource, and also be able to understand that long-term nature of a relationship with the land and stewardship and community. Thank you.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Akani James. I'm a former resident of Albany. I grew up in Albany. My parents and my grandparents, we own a house in Albany. And on our block, we're the only people of color on our household on our block. And, growing up in Albany school districts, you see where we can lack in diversity at sometimes, even if it's not just, physically what the student body or the faculty body looks like. It shows up in other ways. I didn't end up going to the farm. Now, currently, I'm a volunteer at the Giltrap Farm. I've been volunteering for 3 years. And I didn't start volunteering until after I graduated from Albany High School in 2020. And the farm it was a place where it opened my eyes to see people, farming, urban farming, being outdoorsy is not just like a white people thing. Like when I went to the farm, it was, so diverse. There's people, all different kinds of people, different races, different ethnicities, different classes coming and farming, and it's really an opportunity to, a volunteer-run farm that produces produce to the public for free is a rare opportunity where, people, especially children, can see diversity, and not only see diversity in people working, like not just seeing, the crossing guard is a different race, but seeing, oh no, all these farmers are working together here, and they're all different races coming collectively. They're all different ethnicities, all different sexual orientations, right? It's, I think it was really impactful for me to be able to see that, because it's also important to look beyond just how we make money, how our economy works, how diversity affects our economy, but we can look at something outside of industry and outside of just capitalism, and we can see it's important for children to be able to see that there's a world beyond this, and that world includes everybody. And I think the Giltrap Farm represents that really, really well. I really wish that I was exposed to it earlier on as a child, and not just waited till I was an adult, because I think the impact it would have had on me and my experience as a youth in Albany would have been really changed for the better, for sure. Yeah, but thank you so much.
My name's Miriam Walden, and that's my former student. And it's good to see people that I know here. And I teach world history at Albany High, and I want to speak to you about why I'm so excited about this Giltrap project. And it sort of starts with my kids, who, when they were small, 20-some years ago, would stand at that fence and look in there and be like, "Mommy, can we go? Can we go?" And we've come all this way in 20 years that the Giltrap is actually there, and that it's now staffed by enough people that it could be regularly available to have field trips. And so we're in a position now to rectify what my student was talking about and make it possible for Albany students to regularly visit the farm several times in their elementary, in their middle school, and then again in their high school career. And I think that will change so much about what we do. But let me just give you 2 hints. But first, I want to say it requires money to make that actually happen. The Giltrap Farm needs to be, able to stably receive. We have 3,000 students in the district, so we can't just sick them on them. It has to be planned out. And for teachers, they need support to understand how to fit it into their curriculum so that they can justify the time and the resources. So that's what we're proposing to do with this project, and that will make a long-term difference. So let me just give you a couple of examples. I'm a world history teacher. I'm trying to help people see how the world is connected and how the things that happen in one country are related to what happens in another. I begin my class this year with an acknowledgement of the Lishan people, and next year I'd like to have that include taking us out to the farm and talking about the way that land is used by the Lishan community. But next year I'd also like to do a lesson about food sustainability around the world, and talk about how the shortage of food in one country and the overcosts of food in one country are directly related to the use of corn and sugar to sweeten beverages and to the way that we use the land to grow corn versus the other things that we could grow. And I'd like that to be rooted by the farmers in what they're doing and the example that they're providing about how sustainable agriculture changes the dynamics, the economics, and the relationships between people. So the way that fits into what your agenda is that part of it is, people getting to know folks from different parts of the world and getting to work together, and the other part of it is beginning to be more aware of how our choices affect other people's choices. So if it's hard for you to imagine what that curriculum would look like, that's because we can get there by developing it together with the farmers, and then we can deliver it for your kids and mine.
Okay, thank you. Is there any more public comment?
Yeah, I just want to give an example of a field trip that's upcoming in April, and I want you to think about how you're helping us get funding for developing the bridging between the district and the farm. This is my grandson's third grade class, and this is a response from the teacher who is going to have the field trip. My main goal is to have students experience the farm even in early growing season. We're doing worm composting in class. Students would like to see a traditional compost pile. I'd like students as green guardians, that's a program that's funded, as green guardians to complete a perimeter cleanup along the outer fences. We've also been studying about Native people in the area under the broad name of Ohlone, and would love to hear about the Gill Tract being Native land. Of course, we'd love to learn about the monarch colonies that roost there and what nectar plants are grown for them. So please consider recommending this bridging project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Okay.
Others online commenters.
Okay.
Hi, buenas noches a todos y a todas. I have a master's in public health, and I feel like the farm definitely betters our public health in so many ways. Many people, live in this urban area where they don't have access if they're in an apartment, or maybe they're just renting a room somewhere. Really feel they can breathe better. It's so much of a respite for students of all ages to come and work the soil and get excited about growing very organic, very healthy food. And it's such an alternative to what pop culture is pushing, as you were saying, with all the sugar in so much. And as one of the teachers was saying, it's hidden in our food too, with high glucose corn syrup and all of that. And it's such an important lesson for students to learn, because things that we put in our body in our youth affects us later. And this really hooks kids on eating healthily. I represent the farm at the College of Natural Resources Dean Advisory Board. And one of the mandates, one of the things that we were trying to do was working with Veronica and other people from the school district and the city. At that time, the mayor was part of that group as well. And it's how do we all come together in Albany to interact with each other and for our different neighbors to benefit from the farm that's there. I know that Janelle recognized during the pandemic that when it was hard to get food, you know, the farm can help offer healthy food to the community. And it would be great for the students to better understand how food is grown and the history of the land and how they can be healthier and how they can learn to grow food. So thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Nathan. I'm an intern at the Guild Tract, and I just want to talk a little bit about one of the projects that's happening at the farm right now. Me and 3 other people are on the culturally relevant food team, and right now we're doing a lot of outreach in the community to just get a better sense of maybe areas of lacking that grocery stores or other places that people get their food, where they're not able to get cultural foods and things that are like vital to a person's religion, different holidays, and stuff like that. I think this plays in really cool just because we're trying to get those people that would be interested in bringing different produce and more variety to the Guild Tract and get them more involved. And hopefully, if the field trips end up happening, the kids will be able to see this diversity in the farmers and specific plants that they might not see in the grocery store and like their normal day-to-day life. So yeah, we're trying to get more diverse crops in the farm. Yeah, so I think that plays into the diversity part of this goal.
No other public comment.
Okay, thank you for all the public comments. Okay, well, I think this would be good. I feel like it does have a lot to do with our commission, with the, like, helping people get food and help from social isolation and stuff.
So I'm going to make a motion, not because I think we have come to a consensus, because sometimes we come to a consensus and then we make a motion, but just to get something on the table so we can move forward, because I think we're just kind of flailing about a little bit, is my sort of feeling, you know. So here's what I'm going to throw out there. $54,000 for the Guild Tract school program. That's the amount that they requested. This would be a one-year thing, not a permanent thing, because a lot of it is setup costs, it's supposed to be. So it's not implied that it would be annual. You'd have to see what it would be the next year. $10,000 for healthy food subsidies, along the lines of what Jeanette was talking about earlier. It would be need-based. That would be based on families that are on free and reduced lunch. Everybody's encouraged to apply, but you can only get free and reduced lunch if you have a certain level of low income. So it's pretty real. A lot of kids don't like their parents to apply because there's a bit of a stigma. So it can be hard to get get the kids to tell their parents to put it in. But anyway, healthy food subsidies, $10,000.
Actually, anyone can get it. It was something that happened during the pandemic, but any family, like, we're encouraged.
You could be making $1 million and get it on the free and reduced lunch program.
Yes, it's some form of a program that they encouraged every single student to apply regardless of income.
Can I clarify? The state of California now gives free lunch and breakfast to all children regardless of
And breakfast too, right? Yeah.
The state of California making a decision to practice.
Okay, so that's where the, okay. So if they do get accepted into the free and reduced lunch program, it is a tested thing, okay.
No longer applies to actual lunch. It just applies to other services.
The reason that I'm saying that is because there's been a problem in Albany, which really is extremely frustrating, where the city puts out these various programs, you know, for low-income folk, but requires them to prove it separately each time and in different ways. It's nuts, and it's very, very frustrating. And so if we can just take something that families will have already done and use that as opposed to some new test where you got to fill out, you know, all kinds of paperwork and, you know, prove this and prove that and all that stuff, it'll actually get used. So anyway, I'm going to throw it out there, and we can remove it or keep it. So $54,000 for the Gill Tract program, $10,000 for the healthy food subsidies, need-based, $10,000 for subsidies for kids' sports based on need again, similar. $16,000 for the bike safety program. I can say as a soccer coach.
Does anyone actually use the bike safety program?
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was being used, but
I have no idea. I'm just asking.
I mean, I remember when I was in 5th grade, I had to learn how to bike. Yeah, I think it's like they go to your school and teach you. Yeah.
I can say with my soccer players, when they got hurt and couldn't play, it was either from skateboarding or biking. You know, it was like 80% of the time, 90% of the time, and that's what it would be. But you know, we can pull that one if we decide to. I'm just trying to get something on the table. And then I would say the rest to the crossing guard program. And my feeling about the crossing guard program,
Which is how much, since you did the math?
Yeah, $170,000 if I didn't screw up. And then I would recommend, we would request to the council that they fully fund it. They can just put in, if they need 210, they put in 40,000 from the general budget. It doesn't all have to come from, it's not like this is the only place it can come from.
Realistically, would they do that, or would they just get rid of some of the crossing guards?
That depends on what they think is right and political pressure. Right? I mean, that's, you know, what were you going to say?
It depends on how many people are supportive of it.
I can't promise anything, but I'm just saying what we would recommend.
Yeah.
You know. So that's the motion that's on the table. It would need a second, and then we can discuss it and change it and move. But at least we have something specific. Could you possibly put it on the screen? Because there was a lot of different things mentioned there.
The motion?
Yeah, just the amounts and the categories.
I'm sorry, I can't type it out for you.
I think he's talking about the.
Oh, the expenditure plan? Oh, yeah.
No, I meant this motion, but okay, that's fine.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be that hard to type it out. I didn't mean all the words, just the numbers. What's it?
You said 54,000 for the Gill Tract.
Yeah.
Then you said
10,000 for the healthy food subsidies.
And then another 10,000
for subsidies for kids' sports.
But that's it. That's what you said. That's all.
And then 16,000 for the bike safety program.
For sports, you mean?
There were a couple things that Jeanette said that I thought were really smart, that maybe we could do healthy food subsidies and maybe we could do subsidies for kids' sports, both based on need, right? So those aren't on this list. It's not like this is the only thing you can do. You can propose any darn thing you want. The Gill Tract, for instance, is on this list, and they're saying, please fund us. Right. This is just what they did last year.
Yeah.
Right? Some of this stuff they've done every year since we've had the sugar sweetened tax. So there's three new things that aren't on this chart. The Gill Tract, 54,000 that I'm proposing. Healthy food subsidies, need-based, 10,000 for the first year anyway, see what happens. Subsidies for kids' sports, again, based on need, 10K. As a soccer coach, I can tell you it's a real issue. 16 for the bike program, but maybe we withdraw that and put it to the crossing guard. I don't know. I'm just trying to get a motion on board. And 170,000 for, or the rest They don't know exactly how much they're going to have, but if they had 260,000, then it would be 170,000. So it would just be the rest of it for the crossing guard program.
And do you know how much they need?
Last year, they got 213,000, call it.
Got it. So probably somewhere around there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there's inflation, so
Yeah.
staff has to, you can't just, if you don't give staff a raise, they basically got a cut because of inflation.
Yes.
So I would think it would be something more than 213,000.
Yeah. Can I make a different recommendation?
Yeah, of course.
Question?
Yep.
So in terms of making a recommendation to council, it sounds like there are different bodies that are making recommendations, and they, might be making the list based on like what council sees fit. And my thought process is that I feel pretty strongly about what was put forward by the Guild Tract, and I don't feel like, I mean, I think there's one or two on the specific list that I feel strongly about, but my thing is, are we shooting ourselves in the foot if we are putting a lot of effort into building out this like really big list versus just saying, here, these are the 2 or 3 things that we think this should go to? And, maybe the transportation committee is going to add the bike stuff. They're going to add like, the crossing guard. I think that's where that comes from, right? But, really just standing behind what feels, particularly relevant to the commission.
So just to clarify, each commission normally, it's an interesting thought, each commission normally fully says what they would do with the money if it was their choice. So you might have all 4 commissions saying fund the crossing guards. It's not like we get a piece and they get a piece and they get a piece and they get a piece.
Yeah.
All 4 give their advice to the council about how to spend all the money.
But at the end of the day, the council is, they say.
They make the decision.
Now they put the pieces together.
Well,
They're not choosing one person, like one commission, like you get chosen, right? It's not like that.
If they only liked one commission's recommendation, then they can and will ignore the others. Absolutely. The SEJC and the RISE Commission has been, at least the first 2 times, completely 100% ignored. It just did not like what was originally proposed, like I was talking about earlier. It's not like we each get $50,000 to allocate at all. I don't know if that's making sense.
It does. Can I do my, what is it, motion? Gotta learn the terms. I think we should continue or recommend funding the crossing guard program and the Guild Tract program, just the 2 of them.
I recommend reducing the Healthy Me Music and Movement program. I feel like a lot of these topics should already be implemented in a transitional kindergarten program. So it being the 2nd largest expenditure, I feel like it should be reduced significantly.
Which one?
The Healthy Me Music.
Okay.
2nd one.
Like you learn the importance of drinking water, fitness, hygiene. I feel like that's already social and emotional skills. Like, isn't that what kindergarten?
It is.
It is.
And then the bike safety thing is good, but I actually saw signs. I never knew where they were or when it was happening, like ever. So even if I wanted to teach my kid, I was like, where is it? When is it? So either they need better advertising or, I don't know. I don't really vote for them for that, for this time around, but they should work on that.
What I'm confused about, though, because it says for elementary schoolers, right? So, like, wait, because I remember doing this before, and I think it's just, like, they come to school and teach you, but I'm not sure if it's, like, that's right.
My daughter never talked about it, and she talks about lots of stuff.
I guess to add to that is, it sounds like what the motion that was put forward was that we go with the proposal of the Guild Tract, and then we also go with the what is the first one? I'm blanking, sorry, the Crossing Guard program. And I guess, do we need to spend time talking about the other options if we're just saying, actually, the two things that we really want to put focus on? Because if we're thinking about like the estimated number, that's 260, if we're saying, hey, these two things, then we're already out of money, right? So we might as well just have a motion put forward for those two things and then vote on it, vote on it amongst ourselves, right? Okay.
That would definitely be an option. So as the option I put forward, there's that option, which would be just to do the Gill Tract, just to recommend. We're not doing it. The council's going to do what the council does, but and the Crossing Guard program, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're suggesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm trying to make some sense of what different people are saying. So you were the person that had said maybe we should do some different stuff like healthy food subsidies and subsidies for kids. But what do you think about, what would you do if it was your recommendation to make?
Crossing Guard and Gill Tract.
Okay.
So I think those things, I think those things it encapsulates that, like based on all of what they've presented, I think it does a good job of bringing those items together.
Mm-hmm. And that's very similar to what I had the bike safety program and the healthy food subsidies and subsidies for kids' sports, but I'm okay with that. The biking program, it'd be nice if, I don't know how effective it is. But if it's effective, then, a lot of kids get hurt on bikes. I don't know what to say. It's,
It would, so a couple of things. I don't think we need to talk about it, but I grew up low income, like welfare low income. I was lucky enough to get a bike, but most of us didn't have bikes. So bike safety. So I don't know what it's like for kids, in Albany as far as but if they don't have a bike, there is no use for this program for them, unless they're going to buy them some bikes or something.
Yeah, and I think this program was it's not like you're going practicing every week. So you're gonna lose it if you don't practice. And if you don't have a bike, then you can't practice. So, and a lot of the times the people who are not lower income, know how to ride a bike. So, I don't know. I think we should put that money for the Gill Tract and the Crossing Guard. And I don't think we need healthy music and movement, since that seems like nutrition, drinking water, nutrition, that seems to be that's taught in the Gill Tract thing, so we can get rid of that. And then, the only one that's not in we don't need to support Move and Groove. And then, what is this bike link thing? I don't think we need to do that. And then the Albany Swims, that's the only one that's I don't know, the one that's not covered by what we have so far. But if we want to do these two, then it takes up all our money.
I'm okay with the Gill Tract Crossing Guard approach. What are you thinking, Ife?
I was saying, can we propose reduce multiple and not leave space for money for the ones that we have higher importance? Reducing the healthy me and music, bike safety, Move and Groove.
Well, if we think we have 260,000, then fully funding the Crossing Guard program, even if it was just what they got last year, that'd be 213,000. And the Gill Tract, 54,000, if it was fully funded. That would be 267,000 right there.
Yeah, just
so you can't really, and this is, welcome to governing. I actually think every single one of these is worthwhile. Every one, but you have a finite amount of money. You have a specific amount of money that you can allocate. So I'm okay with the Gill Tract Crossing Guard recommendation.
I guess in the interest of time, I would want to put forward a motion to set forth a recommendation to the council for the Gill Tract proposal as well as the Crossing Guard.
I'll second that motion. and there's discussion, and then if there's, when we're done with discussion,
Oh.
there's a vote.
Okay.
Because there's a motion and a second.
Oh, we have a question. So last year, was the actual amount more or less than the estimate?
I'm 100% not the expert on this, but I think it was,
It was $295,207 total. That's what it said on the.
This was, wait.
But it's different than this one. That's why I was confused because I read this like same thing and the total was way higher.
So the estimate last year was about 295.
Well, this was the total of like the expenditure. Because it also had like extras. Like other than this, it had like extra events, kind of like miscellaneous stuff.
Okay. They're pretty close to each other. The city has a budget somewhere in the vicinity of $20 million.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're off by 14,000, but I don't think it's going to be, you know, in the 295 that you talked about and the 281, they're reasonably close in the context of $20 million. So anyway, I don't think anybody knows if the estimate is going to be higher or lower because they're guessing how much tax money is going to come in. They don't know.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Okay.
so there's a motion and a second.
We're
Let's
still
see if anybody wants to discuss the motion.
Yeah.
Or if
Does
we're
anyone
ready
else
for
want
a
to do more discussion? Oh, I think we have like 2 meetings to discuss this, so we don't have to finish it all today, right? Yeah. Okay, but we can if we want. Oops. So, no more discussion? No? Okay, vote, please.
Member Arjun?
Yes, in favor?
Why don't you restate the motion?
This was the motion to recommend the crossing guard and the guild tract programs. Okay. Member Fain?
Yes.
Member Lindsay?
Yes.
Member Martinez-Moore?
Yes.
Member Oji?
Yes.
Chair Tranquil?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Okay, now on to item 6.2, presentation guidelines. And we have last meeting we discussed like possibly having some guidelines for presentations so we can get more presentations. Does anyone have some thoughts about that?
No, more just questions. I mean, you've been here the longest, so you probably know. Like, we had the presentation that they gave. That one guy came and he just kind of gave us information, and they just gave us information. Is that just the gist of it?
That was.
So for a presentation, somebody will usually put together a slide deck, not always. When we had the parent engagement groups come and talk to us, they each just gave sort of a 5-minute presentation, and there was time for questions. There's always time for questions in a presentation. And we had the mental health director of Alameda County come once. We had Project Hope come. We had Project CARE. It's not called Project CARE, it's just the CARE program. They gave presentations to us. So partly it's to give a voice and rise up.
Makes sense.
Groups that people might not know about.
Get it.
And usually, often they do a slide deck, and then there's questions. Sometimes they don't do a slide deck, they do other stuff.
Okay. So maybe we could suggest, like, how much time they would get, and I don't know. That's one suggestion.
When I was writing the draft email, I was targeting like student groups and like clubs. So when I made out the email, it was like kind of specific to those only.
Yeah.
So are you trying to reach a wider audience or not just the student affiliated groups?
Sure, because students are a very important group, but that's not the only group we want to present to this commission. This commission is about the whole city and a lot of diversity and stuff.
I'd like to do a presentation for an organization that I yeah, have worked with for a while, long time.
Oh, you would do the presentation?
Yes, or I could have my husband do it since I'm on the commission,
Yeah.
or a number of other people actually, but
Right.
yeah.
What's the group?
It's called esports, and it's like a full inclusion program. It's free. It's for typical kids and kids with special needs, and it's, I helped start it in Kenya and India, and we did one in Las Vegas. We have a lot of programs here, and it expanded also to art, photography, theater, depending on where you are. They're starting to do like STEM programs. We do an annual event with the Warriors, and starting to do stuff with Cal and USF in San
Yeah,
Francisco.
it's that kind of group that can do a presentation.
Yes, we can definitely do a
Slide deck and
presentation.
questions, and then they get a bit of an audience for whoever's watching online or watches it on YouTube later. Some council members watch, this commission meeting and things like that.
Yeah.
So that would be an example of a kind of group that usually you can only do one presentation per meeting, because it commonly is going to eat up about half an hour if they do a 15-minute or 10-minute presentation, then there's discussion and stuff, so 20, 30 minutes, something like that. Sometimes longer, but yeah, that's the kind of idea. But I think what you guys said was that for students, it might help them if they got like more detailed instructions. That's what I thought you were saying. But somebody like, the person, a lot of people they have a ready-made slide deck because they've been giving presentations about their group for, whoever will take them. Because you're always hustling for money if you're a non-governmental organization or something.
Do you have like ideas for student group rules or?
Mine was like very basic. I was like thinking it was 10 minutes for presentation. It would be about like a topic of their choice. So say I'm a part of this one organization where we teach reading. We help build reading confidence for minoritized groups in East Oakland. So I could bring this up to that club, and they would definitely make something to present here. And then it'll be good for like, their service hours and stuff like that. So I feel like they'd be very motivated to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could also apply to other groups, like you said.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think there's one or two explicitly anti-racist groups at Albany High, or at least there have been commonly. And then there's the BSU, the LSU, the ASU, right? All of them would be of interest.
So how long do we want to give them to present each group? Because that's kind of what we need to be able to send people, right?
It's usually 10 to 15 minutes.
10 to
That's
15
what it
minutes.
classically is. People's, presenting's a whole skill set. But a lot of times, if you tell people 10, it'll stretch to 15, because once they get into the real world, they start, it's a little longer than they expected. And then just time for questions, time for a little give and take and, stuff like that. So, it might be a 10-minute presentation, a 10-minute for question, 15-minute presentation, 15-minute questions, stuff like that.
Yeah, and so they just talk about like what they're doing and how we can help them.
We're helping them just by having them here.
Right.
But they could talk about how the city could help them. We don't have any money or staff, right? We have precisely zero money to spend and precisely zero staff hours to allocate. But we might be able to help connect them with folk, and people will find out about them. And plus for students, and actually for some new NGOs, you need to start doing presentations before you learn how to do them right, if you know what I mean. Right. You got to kind of work it out. And so it can help them in that way too. I think they've been good over the years when we can do them, but they sort of fell off at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have like a lot of connection to different organizations, and I'm also part of an organization that we advocate for teaching Asian American history in schools. So we can, well, I think we can reach out to some organizations.
I've got a whole list of organizations just written down somewhere, but I think what people could do is for recommendations about organizations is, maybe send it to the chair and to the staff person, just keep a list.
Yeah.
Can I do one in May?
What's that?
Can I do one in May? How do we decide that?
The agenda is usually decided by the staff person and the chair.
Okay.
We could have a motion or a resolution or something to do that one in May. I don't see why not. For staff, just heads up, it can be hard because they're trying to reach somebody. That person has a schedule. Can they make it that night? Maybe they can. Maybe they can't. Can they? They cancel at the last minute. Usually you need to give staff several groups that you'd be happy to hear from so they can get one of them, yeah.
I mean, but if you know you can, then
Yeah, exactly.
I think it'll be one is fine, right?
Yep.
I can do it in May.
Okay.
April's very busy, but.
What's
May
the
works.
official name of the group?
Esports?
Esports. Okay.
Okay. So how do we? That.
So right now, we're talking about presentation guidelines specifically.
Okay.
If there's future agenda requests, then that would be in the future agenda items portion.
Yeah, I mean, this is just for discussion. Usually it's not done by motion. It's the chair of the commission and the staff person who figure it out.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have a list of groups, right, that you have, and people can send in, I can send you my list, right? Other people can add in names, and then you can ask people, which ones would you most like to hear from or something, but at the end of the day, it's usually the chair and the staff person who figure it out, and it can sometimes change at the last second because 1 week before or 3 days before or something, John gets a call from somebody who said they would show up and suddenly they ain't gonna show up. It's right, So you just have to be ready for that stuff.
Just one small caveat, there's also consideration to time-sensitive matters. So for instance, tonight, SSB, is important that we get it done before the end of April, so it kind of determines how the agenda ends up being drafted.
Okay.
I mean, in this particular case, we finished it in March, but yeah. But just for other stuff, there might be something like that, yeah. Do you have some suggested guidelines that we want to?
They were like very broad. Well, they're not like with me, but basically like no vulgar language, to focus on the topic of racial inclusivity, social equity, and that was it.
Yeah.
I would say a guideline, it would be good for them to prepare a slide deck, but not to just read the frickin' slide deck.
Yeah.
People hate that. But if you have one, it can really help, So presentation skills, practice it, I would say would be put on there. I used to teach high schoolers how to do presentations in the academy that I ran. So they need to practice their presentation skills, maybe with whoever the sponsor of their club is or something like that. And not just show up, do it early and not do it at the last second and then show up and fluff it, but not to do it at the last second and not practice. Rather do it early and practice it a lot would be a guideline that I would suggest for a young person. I don't know what other guidelines people might have. But adults don't usually, well, actually, sometimes adults do need to be told that stuff. But for young people specifically, yeah.
Oh. Okay. Do you have anything else to discuss about presentation guidelines? I mean, I think we got most of it. We just gotta start reaching out to people, I guess.
Yeah, and you kind of have to start early. So if you and John can early on have a list, and you say, And if you're involving your vice chair, that's great. As opposed to, again, if you wait till the last second, then you just won't get anybody.
Yeah, wait. You have a list. So
I do have a list. Here it is.
okay, do I have to read this?
No.
Oh,
I'll read it real fast. The Lejeune tribe, I don't even know what I was trying to write there. Familias Unidas, the Care and Hope programs of Albany. I'll give this to you afterwards, or take a picture and give it to you and John. Art Commission, because they have some diversity projects. The library, they have the Read Along Project. Albany High School clubs. I thought, I'm going to cross this one off, never mind. There's a group called Oakland Rising that I'm kind of a fan of that would be sort of interesting to talk to. They do organizing. They do kind of political organizing, but still. Nicole Anderson, who actually was that was the group that wrote our Racial Equity Impact Plan. It was led by Nicole Anderson. The Survey Company. And we did have Hip Hop for the People, I think was the one that we did do.
yeah.
Oh, I see what I was writing here. The parent, not just the Black parent engagement group, but also the Familias Unidas and the Asian American engagement group. So all three of the engagement groups would be good. I'll take a picture and send it to you guys.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
And that's just my list. I mean, you've already mentioned some other ones, and you mentioned one, and you probably know some.
Okay. Okay, is there any other, topic, things to discuss for 6.2? Okay, let's go on to 6.3, subcommittee updates. Okay, so no one is here from the City Equity Statement Committee. So I guess we skip that unless anyone else knows anything about that.
And my impression was that not a whole lot happened there because one of the members was not really engaged.
Yeah.
And so there is the next item, subcommittee reorganization.
Right.
Yeah, might be appropriate on that one.
Okay. So I guess we can go to Citywide Racial Equity Survey Committee, subcommittee. There hasn't really been anything.
Well, just for an update, as the last I heard is they're pretty much sort of on schedule, and that would mean that we would see the survey arrive in our mailboxes sometime in early spring. If it runs a little late, it might be mid-spring. So that train is on the track and it's rolling. There's not really much to do. They're gonna do the survey, take a month or two, then they're gonna do an analysis of it, and then they'll present that to the city, to council, maybe us. I don't know if we'll get a separate presentation or, John, do you remember that? I forget.
Yes, there's a presentation, I believe, regarding findings, and then a final presentation to council.
Okay. Yeah. Presentation to us regarding findings?
I believe so.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that just yet.
Okay. Okay, so now for the Read Along Program Subcommittee.
So we had, I think in the last update, we had provided the library folks with a proposal of what we would like to do potentially with one of the time slots. But it sounds like they kind of have their own program set, and it would be us fitting ourselves into that would be on a volunteering basis. It wouldn't necessarily be oh, here's our program that we can work on together. And so my thought with that was trying to figure out, okay, we probably need to just set a proposal that's based on our own program and maybe do it outside of the library that haven't really figured out like what the next steps are. So that's also something that I'm willing to discuss as a group. But at this moment, I don't think that being able to do a read-along program in tangent with the library is going to work.
Okay.
I speak a lot, so is there anybody else who wants to say anything first? So we could do, we could recommend to the city council that the city sponsor a read-along program in addition to the libraries, because that's kind of what we can do. Or the other thing we could do, well, we really can't go separately to the school board. I mean, I guess we could make a resolution to ask the school board something. That's weird because we're a city. The school board has its own commissions and committees. We're a city commission. So, we could recommend something like that Park and Rec work with the RISE Commission for a read-along program or something like that. I just threw out Park and Rec, but
Is the library part of a division? Is it?
Yeah, the library. Well, library gets funding from the county too, but it's the Albany Library, and the community center is completely an Albany thing.
Okay. You mean the community center that's in Memorial Park? Is that what you're talking about?
The community center right next to the library.
Oh, okay, got it.
So it's there for stuff like this, right? There could be a summer program. They do all kinds of summer programs for kids, right? One of them could be like a read-along program for different ages and stuff. There's that big room. I forget what it's called, but it's basically like an auditorium, or meeting room or something. And we could do like you could try to do a big thing there, right? Smaller things could be, there's a lot of rooms in the community center. So we could make some kind of proposal that that the city of Albany would do in addition to the libraries program.
Yeah, and I essentially that's going back to like the original idea, because I think that the thought was to facilitate it through the library, so it was kind of less of a heavier lift. But I do see the value in being able to just draft the proposal from the perspective of like the commission, not the commission, the council fund that like a summer program type of thing. So should I? No, that's future agenda items. I will request it then. That's it. That's my whole update.
Okay. Okay. I guess we can move on to 6.4. Yeah, which is subcommittee reorganization. Okay, so, our city equity statement subcommittee only has one person now. She's not here, so, I don't know, I'm assuming she might want another person. Yeah.
Is that the only thing you had in mind?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel sort of like the Racial Equity Survey Committee at this point.
Right, it's
kind of like, it's happening, there's nothing for us to do. Really. And so I'm not sure we need that one anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. The read-along program, we could come up with our own proposal, or we could just say, the library has one and that's good enough for us. But it sounds like we're going to do our own, so we probably want to keep that one. I'm looking at the list of folk right now, and I think it's Oji and Ajwang, right? The read-along program?
Vane, too.
3. There's 3, so they're full.
Oh, I see, I just can't read. I just missed it, sorry about that, Commissioner Fain. The City Racial Equity Officer, that was submitted last month and passed, so we're done with that item. We did our job. We made a recommendation to council. We're done. So the two other things that were on our work plan that we don't have a subcommittee for are the city equity statement. Well, we have one, but it's only one person.
Right.
And the housing element. And we may want to actually, that's not what's on the agenda tonight, but we may want to, next month, put on the agenda a work plan revision.
Yeah.
So that we can drop some of the ones that are done or done enough and add on some other stuff that we want to work on. So if we did that next month, then it would go to council. If we did that in April, it would go to council. If council approved it, then we could start working on the new work plan items in May, right?
Okay, so we want to get rid of the citywide, oops, I wrote it wrong. We want to get rid of the equity, I mean, not the equity, sorry, the Racial Equity Survey Committee, Subcommittee.
You and I think so, and we are the
Yeah,
committee.
Yeah, so, okay. Do we just do that by voting?
Yeah, motion to dissolve it.
I'll make a motion to get rid of the citywide Racial Equity Survey Subcommittee.
A second.
Member Archibald?
Yes.
Member Fain?
Yes.
Member Lindsay?
Yes?
Member Martinez-Moore?
Yes.
Member Oji?
Yes.
And Chair Tranquil.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so this is gone.
I have a question. As it relates to the City Equity Statement Subcommittee, correct me if I'm wrong, it felt like Member Rios was really driving that, or was the person who really wanted to put that on the work plan? And so at the moment, is there anybody who would be able to pick that up actually and move it forward outside of Member Rios?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's on the Racial Equity Impact Plan. I'm not a real statement person. I'm not into making statements. I'd rather take actions. But it was in the Racial Equity Impact Plan. It is recommended.
So we have to do it. Is that what you're saying?
We don't have to do it. It's on our work plan, but I sort of feel like we should defer to Nicole Anderson and the city, that this would be, that it does have meaning and purpose, that it's a good thing to have a city equity statement. And I would really like to see the 9 or so things that were in that, in the Racial Equity Impact Plan. I'd like to see them all implemented, and that's one of them. So if nobody else is willing, even though it's not usually my thing, I would join Commissioner Cho to work on that.
You got it.
Yeah.
Well, could we say that, like, because we submitted our proposal for the racial equity officer, can we say that if the officer, they like approve it? I don't know. I mean, they'll probably take a while, but they can write it. That'll probably take a while, and then we won't have one. We haven't had one, so I don't know.
I mean, who's going to read the city equity statement in real life?
Okay, if I put on my hat of advocating for something that I feel sort of have mixed feelings about, it's on the city's website. You might have something up on the hall in there, right? That sort of thing. And it's something that, it might be in the They already have, the city council already requires every proposal, every motion that's made to say, how does it impact DEI in the city? That's already required. You have to say something about it in every motion. That's good. I mean, if you had a well-written equity statement that sort of, where we would hold ourselves account, that said something like, oh my God, I'm getting into details here. But I can imagine an equity statement that would maybe light a little bit of a fire under people's butts,
What's it for?
I don't get them.
What's it for?
Can somebody?
I mean, so I guess the point is to set a standard, right? Like, this is what Albany is signing on to. This is the equity statement that we are putting, we essentially signing off on. But to the point that I made in that, essentially the argument for the racial equity officer is that there are people who are literally trained for this, right? That's their whole job. The thing is, we can, as a commission, we can sit here and do the best that we can, especially as people from marginalized groups come up with the things that are related to our pain points. But at the end of the day, I do think that Chair Trenkle, your point is a good one in the sense that the person who is essentially best placed or uniquely suited for that role as a racial equity officer would be ideal to draft a statement that actually makes sense and that Albany is willing to put on their website or really stand behind. Because I don't have the credentials to do that, right? I don't know if anybody on this commission can actually stand and say, I have the credentials to write something like that. I mean, it just feels like that's part of the issue of being part of a minoritized group is oftentimes people are asking you to do the work, but it's also just because I'm from a minoritized group doesn't mean that I'm also the person who can provide that piece of work. So I'm not sure how useful it is for any of us to participate in that or put our time behind it when we actually don't know if that's something that's going to be adopted or so on and so forth, right? We have all of the verbiage. Member Lindsay, you've said this a lot of times, that we can say that this is what we want, but at the end of the day, council is who will decide.
Typically with stuff that doesn't cost any money, they are more open to it because there's no budget issues, right? And so if it was a good equity statement, there's a decent chance they might accept it. But yeah, I mean, if we were going to try to do this, I would want to see what other city equity statements are, and then I would want to be interviewing people about how we should modify it for us and like that. I don't think that we can, and might want to talk to Nicole Anderson and saying, can you explain what the heck you're supposed to do with this and what its purpose is?
That's because, I mean, to the point, it's because she is attuned to those. Exactly, yeah, that's what she does, right? And I think that, as it relates to, again, this is something that I do feel fairly strongly about, is that just because you're in a minoritized group doesn't mean that you're the person who then has to do the work for the people to, you're not, just because you're black doesn't mean someone comes and says, tell me about black, that's not, that's not your it's not your ministry. You don't have to do that. Right. And so that's the point of having a racial equity officer. I mean, hopefully council does something about that and, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think mainly what I'm trying to say is drafting a racial equity statement, if we're truly taking that seriously, that's a really big job. And it's not I feel like it's something that I would want to give the weight that it deserves.
I wonder if maybe the recommendation that we might end up giving to council is something like, we're not qualified, thank you very much. And if you hire a racial equity officer like we strongly suggested, they should lead it. But if you don't, then you should hire a professional, hire a consultant, a professional to do that for the city. You know?
For now, can we just motion to take it off
To do away with the subcommittee?
for it? Yeah, if we're not going to write it.
Yeah.
Well, but do we want to make a recommendation to council at all on this?
Not really.
Okay,
It's not going to, like, if we take it off of our subcommittee, it's still there to do, but we're just not doing it right now, correct?
if you get rid of the subcommittee, it stays on our work plan until we change our work plan, yes.
Yeah.
We can put it on a future agenda items to like talk about recommending to the council that they get if there is one, a city equity officer to write it. Okay, cool.
So are you making a motion to dissolve the city equity statement subcommittee?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'll second it.
Well, the chair should try to let
Oh,
other people.
sorry.
Yeah.
I
I'll
don't
second
do
it.
You can legally, but, you know.
Was there a second?
Yeah.
Fain?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Member Ajwang?
Yes.
Member Fain?
Yes.
Member Lindsay?
Yes.
Member Martinez-Moore?
Yes.
Member Oji?
Yes.
Chair Tranquil?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. So do we need to do any more reorganization? Okay, so we got rid of this. So now we only have the read-along program subcommittee. And then I guess,
I have a question. So since we just did the SSB thing, do we need to follow the same procedure as like the racial equity officer, where we fill out a work plan item, a recommendation to the recommendation memo? Do we need to do that for the SSB?
Possibly, I have to check with staff, but if it does, you would be approving that in the next meeting. Otherwise, it would just go to council for their late April meeting, I believe.
Okay, so do we need to create a committee for that in terms of?
No. It'd be, I would work with the chair to draft something for,
Okay.
if necessary.
There's a couple of different ways we could do that. I don't think we did a formal proposal in the past. I think that we just made our recommendation, in the minutes. But you can check. I think it's probably fine if we're going to meet before they do, that we could just finish it up next time. But if you're time constrained, you can always authorize people, like the chair and somebody else, to take certain actions in between meetings. You can do an authorization like that, so you don't have to wait till the next meeting.
If, it kind of depends on the simplicity or complexity of the recommendation. So in this case, you're just recommending 2 programs without any sort of extra verbiage. If it was something more, prosy, you might want to spend time drafting it. So with something so simple, it likely won't need drafting per se. And then when it goes to council, it's presented by a staff member. It's not by the commission chair or something like that, like other recommendations.
And I guess the other question I have is, do you think that makes a difference in terms of being able to put something together? Because, it would be sad if it was ignored, right? And so my thought is that if we did, draft a memo, do people usually do that? Or would that carry more weight as it relates to like presenting something to council versus not doing anything at all?
I can't really advise on how it would, I wouldn't even be able to begin to advise on that. But I can check with staff as to kind of, you're asking about possibly the nature of the recommendation, how it's worded.
No. Like, in past years, what has been adopted, has it come from people who have drafted memos and given more detail to their proposals? Is that something that will actually, could potentially sway council as they, review the different proposals.
Unfortunately, I can't advise you on that, and also it's before my time. I really, Member Lindsay might know better than I.
We should just do it. We should just draft something. And whether or not it's protocol or, you know, it's just more professional.
Yeah, I would, my judgment, he can't tell us politically how to win what we want.
Well, it's not about the politics, it's more just like what has happened.
Or to get paid attention to, but I can. And I do think drafting something, I agree with both of you, that drafting something, it doesn't have to be in that particular format for this particular thing, with a bit, you know, not too long, but, you know, kind of to the point and like that. If you draft something strong, probably a one-pager, no more than a page, they'll probably read it, and it probably will have some impact on them, because they're not just getting from a staff person, you know, out of context and stuff, right? And there are other things that can be done too, like talk to anybody on the council that you know, right? Go to the council meeting and speak to the point. Those sorts of things absolutely make a difference.
To be clear, if that's what you'd like to do, this meeting you'd be designating a member to draft the proposal or the recommendation, and then next meeting you would approve of it as the commission.
Okay.
So, would you be interested in?
Sure.
And our top writer interested?
No.
You don't want to write it up, but.
No, I am definitely writing up the read-along program thing, so. No.
Okay. Are you up for it? What's that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then, is anybody else want to be part of that subcommittee? It's an ad hoc 1 month subcommittee, you know. Does anybody else want to be on that? Okay, so I move that Commissioners OG and Martinez-Moore have a subcommittee to bring us wording for the sugar sweetened beverage recommendation for next month's meeting.
Second.
Member Ajwan?
Yes.
Member Fain?
Yes.
Member Lindsay?
Yes.
Member Martinez-Moore?
Yes.
Member OG?
Yes.
Chair Tranquil?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Cool. So I think we finished subcommittee reorganization.
Well, unless we want to form a housing subcommittee, because right now we have only one, which is the read-along program subcommittee, and that's the item on our work plan that we didn't have a subcommittee for.
I have a question. So just based on I think this might only be in reference to the study session that's coming up, that was supposed to be coming up on the 27th of March, related to the housing element. It doesn't sound like we're going to have opportunities beyond what was suggested to give our input. So is this something, like, as it relates to like the housing element subcommittee, would we want to first reach out to Leslie Mendez or Jeff Bond to figure out where we would actually sort ourselves into before creating a subcommittee?
You could do it that way, but basically if there were 2 or 3 people on the commission that are interested and have the energy to work on the intersection of the housing plan and equity and diversity, there's no reason why you couldn't form that subcommittee. We are maybe going to look at our whole work plan next meeting. So maybe it makes sense to see what the heck we do with the work plan, you know, because we might propose removing that item as a work plan. But I think council wants the RISE Commission to be looking at the housing element from an equity perspective.
So just to cut in there, because what I received in my email is that Leslie, essentially, this is what she forwarded over to me, and I think just me. There was other people on this, but I don't think any of them are here. She said, last night, City Council authorized the establishment of a Housing Advisory Commission who will take the lead on advising the City Council on policies and strategies for implementation of the housing element programs related to tenant protections, fair and equitable access to housing, housing programs, rent review, and associated administration and resources. So it seems like that's happening completely separate from us. And that's why I was thinking, do we then need to take that off of our work plan? Because they're going in a different direction.
Do we trust them to look at things from an equity perspective? I mean, I think I might. This is Albany, right? But I don't know how other people feel. Do you see what my concern is? They have a Housing Advisory Commission, but if they're ignoring equity, if they're ignoring diversity, that doesn't do a darn bit of good. You know, but if we think that they're going to do a decent job there, then I totally agree with you.
Question. For this housing advisory, is it for what they're building by the freeway, or is it just housing in general?
It's for the whole plan. It's an 8-year plan, I think.
No, not the plan. So say someone's low income and they want to live, you know, off Washington or whatever. Is there a way for them to financially do that? Like, is that going to help them? Or is it just like the thing they're building on by the freeway? There will be designated units that are for low income residents.
Yes.
So is it more that, or is it they're also helping low income residents in other like apartments or rental properties in the city of Albany?
The Housing Advisory Commission?
Yeah.
Do you know what their charge is? Or do we, I mean, it looks like you're paying most attention to it. Maybe John knows.
It hasn't been finalized yet, but I believe their focus is going to be the housing element. So the overall housing plan for City of Albany for the next few years.
But the housing element by law has to include equity considerations. It's part of the law. So maybe it's covered because of that. I mean, California is forcing some cities that are hostile to this sort of stuff, you know, basically by state law, to take some of this stuff into consideration. But you're talking, is it broader than the housing element? It sounds like it's not.
Yeah, so I don't know that there's a need for the subcommittee then if they're already doing it, because, I mean, there's not that much, there isn't much housing equity in the city of Albany.
No.
So, I don't know, maybe this will help, but I don't know that we need to spend a subcommittee that create that when it's already going.
But via the Housing Advisory Commission?
Yeah, like they're already.
At the Housing Commission, whatever they're calling it.
If we want, we can check in with them, right? Just as a citizen.
Yeah, that's actually not uncommon, is that somebody from one commission will sort of be a liaison with another commission. And that's the sort of thing that you can do. Sometimes the chair does that. Sometimes somebody else does that. They might go and speak in public comment. They might just develop a relationship with somebody on the other commission. Like some of that was happening with the Arts Committee and the SEJC when the Arts Commission and the city was doing something in the intersection of arts and DEI. I forget what it was, but there was some cooperation between a couple of commissions. And that can be pretty powerful, actually.
Okay, so we don't need a housing subcommittee. Okay, so I think that's good. I think we can just move on to item 7, which is future agenda items. Right now, for future agenda items, I have revised work plan. Recommend council that racial equity officer write the racial equity plan or have someone else do it. And member OG presentation in May. Does anyone have any other future agenda items?
Can we put on the, similarly to how we did the racial equity officer work plan item, how we reviewed that all together, can we do that for the read-along program for the next meeting?
Yeah.
So if you have a proposal, so you think you might have a written proposal for us to take up at the next meeting?
Yeah, I mean, so the only thing that has been holding up the proposal is trying to figure out how to make it work with the library, but if you're not making it work with the library, then I can just write it up, and then just be done with it.
Great.
Okay. Any other future agenda items, requests?
So, yeah. Just the memo thing or the proposal, we'll present it
Oh,
for the SSB.
yeah.
Should that be on there or no? We just turn it in?
Or should it be in the subcommittee?
No, it needs to be on there.
Well, that'll be on there, yeah.
Okay.
It has to be, because we have a deadline. So John would wrestle us to the floor if we tried to not put that on.
Okay. All? Okay,
Oh, a presentation from somebody.
right. Well,
That's a request.
yeah.
Right.
In April?
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, okay, it's April next month. Okay,
It could be from a student group, one of the things that I
yeah,
sent you, or who knows?
okay,
It could be, it could be something from the county district attorney's office, for example. I know somebody who works there.
oh,
Anyway, there's a lot, I was just.
okay. Okay, so I think we're done with that. So our next meeting is April 2nd at 7 p.m. And now the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, good job.
Thank you.